Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. The Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up is a look at the events Southern Miss Student Media covered throughout the week and the events Southern Miss Student Media is working on for next week. And now, here's the host of the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, Kelsey Bolden.
Hello everyone, my name is Kelsey Bolden and I'm your host for the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday afternoon at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. It is 78 degrees in Hattiesburg and it's a little cloudy today, but I think we're going to get some rain later, but I hope not. But we're finishing up the 10th week of classes. The semester is starting to wind down. So as always, like I say, remember to relax and take time to do fun and relaxing activities with your loved ones, like friends and family. You can go walking, you can go exercising, like riding your bike, or even just sitting around with your friends and just talking. On the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up Show, I talk to leaders from SM2, the Southern Miss Student Media Center. In the Media Center, students have the opportunity to get involved with print, radio, social media, and television to curate stories that are for students and are by students. Now, we're going to take a sponsorship break and hear from Abigail Troth, who is the editor of the Student Prints. Stay tuned.
Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Yo, it's Smooth Oz.
And Charlie from the 4th Street Sports Show.
And we are psyched for our second year covering Southern Miss Athletics, and we have some new faces joining too.
Join us every Monday at 5 p.m. to hear from myself and Smooth Ost, as well as Dima, Jackson, and Nathan.
88.5 is the place to be on Mondays at 5.
Since 1927, the Student Prints has been a direct conduit to USM students. Get your share of the more than $600 million USM brings into South Mississippi by advertising your business or service in the Student Prints. To find out more about how to advertise in the Student Prints, email sm2sales@usm.edu.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We have Abigail Troth in the studio. She's in a slightly different position here, but she's here. How are you doing, Abigail?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful.
How's the Prints going?
So it's going pretty well, of course. This week was an SMTV week, so we just kind of got our ideas together and we just kind of worked on some things for next week. We published a Donsley Abernathy story at the beginning of the week. That was actually something that I got to cover. We started working on stories for next week, so that means that we went out on site throughout Hattiesburg and on campus, and we just covered some events going on. We gathered our ideas, of course, first because, we just want to make sure that we're getting everything together so we can have the proper layout, an idea of what everyone will be doing and who's going to be doing what. And we have some stories, definitely, that we're going to be working on soon.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. How was the Abernathy, the lecture?
That was awesome. I loved it. I loved getting to go to that. She actually hugged me, and I got her for an interview. They were kind of pushing her and pulling her away to go get pictures of the people, and I want to just talk to her and just not even get her for an interview. So I just want to talk to her, and she actually reached her hand out to me and she pulled me in for a hug. It was just something that was so genuinely rewarding, and I actually got to make a little voice out for SMTV about it, so it was really fun.
That is really exciting, and I think on one of our previous shows that you actually mentioned that you were going to cover this story, so I think that's really exciting that you got the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely.
So what stories can we look forward to? Because I know it's springtime now, so a lot of activities are picking up on campus.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to have an Eagle Nest Food Pantry story probably in the works, just talking about how they need stuff. They need support, and they need food drive, they need stuff like that. There's a food worker shortage in Hattiesburg and on campus, and we're going to have someone covering that and investigating why. HubFest is this weekend, and I know everyone loves HubFest, and it's a really fun event, so we're definitely going to have some of our new anchors out there covering that. So I think that'll be really fun for them, and it'll be a good experience. I got to cover it last year, and it was so fun, and I know it's very rewarding. I actually got to cover the Roxanne Gay Forum this Saturday. Not this Saturday. When was that?
Tuesday.
Yeah, I got to cover that on Tuesday, and it was really fun. there's a geo tour going around in Hattiesburg right now. So that's like, I don't know much about it. Lauren's going to be covering that. Puppy yoga, that's something fun on campus to do. And we have something coming out about the New Orleans Saints that one of our sports reporters has been working on, so that'll be really fun. We have a lot coming on this week.
Yeah, and not just in terms of content and kind of collecting stories, from what I hear, but you also said you all have new reporters, right?
SMTV has new anchors, yes.
Anchors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and part of their job is that while they anchor first, we're also going to have them like out in the field covering stuff that they can write about and cover for SMTV.
Okay, when you said anchors, I was thinking like they were also going to be working for the paper too. So
Well, they do. They are multimedia journalists.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how is that change going with like new people?
It's really good actually, and I know that it's good experience for them. And one thing that I know they're probably worried about, or they might be worried about, is getting out in the field and learning, because it's kind of new to everybody. One of them I know personally, and she's very sweet, but she's kind of new to it. And I know that the best way for them to learn is to actually get out there and do it. And if they have a good mentor, which I know we have great people who are here to help them here at not just at SMTV, but you know, at the Media Center as a whole, then they'll learn and they'll just get better over time.
Yeah, because I think that field is one where you kind of just have to jump in.
Yes.
And just try.
Right into it.
Right, and to be in this field, you kind of have to, I think, really be really open to new experiences.
Yeah.
But they can be really rewarding, as we
Yeah.
see with the content that SMTV and the Prince, just all of our properties deliver. We have great
of course.
people.
Yeah.
Well, as always, thank you so much for being on, Abigail.
welcome.
We appreciate you here. Now we're going to hear Simeon Gates' report on the Out of the Darkness Suicide Awareness Walk. Let's hear it.
Saturday, March 10th, USM held its 6th annual Out of Darkness Campus Walk to raise money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Event organizer Molly Burke and community members came together to share their stories. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention provides for research, education, and fundraisers. Its most popular are its Out of the Darkness Campus Walks. This year's walk was organized by Morgan Burke, a graduate student in the School of Clinical Psychology. Burke told SM2 what she hopes attendees can gain from the walk.
People who participate in this walk can gain a sense of community, so everybody gets together and people say this is a problem, but also not just that this is a problem, but we want to do something about it, and we're all together, and a lot of us have suffered.
Most of the participants had direct experience with suicide, either by losing a loved one or struggling with suicidal thoughts. 3 of them agreed to share their advice for those who are struggling.
Talk to somebody, talk to somebody, talk to somebody. Don't be silent. Talk.
Please reach out. Please reach out. And people who are not struggling, please be aware.
The biggest piece of advice is to sleep through the night. The text to someone who you love and have them reach out.
If you or someone you know is struggling, please contact Student Counseling Services. If you want to get involved, please visit afsp.org. Simeon Gates, SM2 News.
Thanks, Simeon. Now we're going to turn to Cordavion Carter, who is filling in for Garrett Grove today. What can you tell us, Carter? And welcome to the show.
I'm back again.
Yeah.
Didn't think I was gonna be back again for a good little while, but I'm back. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That's very sweet, Carter. So how's SMTV going? I know it was an SMTV week this week.
It went well. I have to say, it was a great show. For one, I think it's one of the strongest shows we produced this semester. But of course, there's always room for improvement. You know, so. But other than that, I think it was great. We had great packages. We had some new anchors make their SMTV news anchor debut, you know, because, you know, some of them work in different facets. You know, some of them work with weather, community calendar. But, you know, to be behind that desk is a totally different feeling. But, yeah, it was a great show. I give it that. And if you have not seen it, you can go watch it on our YouTube at Southern Miss Student Media. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that we're coming off of spring break. You know, it's the week after spring break. But you said this is one of the strongest shows that you all have had this semester, and you had new anchors that have been onboarded. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it was definitely it's a fun, I'd say it was very fun getting everything together. You know, especially coming off of a break. You know, people don't, you know, let's be honest, we don't want to work after we come back from a break or during a break. So it's kind of hard getting that turnaround time just ready for Wednesday, you know, but we did it. I mean, it was difficult, but, you know, it had to be done, and everybody did a great job.
So one question I have, you know, because it's kind of, you know, toward the end of the semester, but you all have been onboarding new anchors. So is that typical for SMTV, or do you all usually wait till the beginning of the semesters?
Well, it's not. They're not like new. They auditioned at the beginning of the semester to be news anchors, but now they're just getting placed into the show, or they just officially got hired. So that's more so what that is, that they officially have time and, like, you know, to anchor. They've been through the training, having Garrett kind of guide them through that. Me, Garrett, you know, the other exclusive anchors to SMTV guide them through that process. So now they're ready to, you know, kind of go out on their own. So, and also, Abigail mentioned that their job will be to go out and get content for the prints for SMTV, making them more so of a multimedia journalist, which they will excel at. So I'm so excited to see their growth firsthand.
And I think that's really exciting too. So looking forward to whenever the next SMTV week will be, what can we expect?
What can we expect? I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I don't even know what to expect. You expect the unexpected when it comes to SMTV. But mainly it's more so, I know HubFest is going on. I know I'm going down there to help a couple of our new hires shoot HubFest, kind of guide them, be their photog, make sure they're shooting everything correctly, teach them the ropes, basically. I know it's a lot of events going on. Puppy Yoga, I can't wait to see that package on SMTV. I don't know about you guys, but Puppy Yoga definitely gets me excited. It's just so much stuff going on around campus and around the city of Hattiesburg that we can cover, that has the potential to become something great for SMTV. It's all about how they decide to tell the story. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what the April 5th show will entail, because we need to get the rundown for that probably around next week. So we'll see what all makes it in and what makes it out. But yeah, I'm very much excited for it.
So we do have the date, April 5th, everyone.
April 5th.
April 5th, so you can tune in, like Carter said, on the YouTube channel, and we'll plug all that at the end of the show too. But thank you so much, Carter, for being on, filling in for Garrett. You did great.
Per usual. I always
Per
fill in
usual.
for Garrett. I'm just like, yeah, but thank you, Kelsey, for having me on.
No problem. Now we're going to hear Maya Evans report on USM Executive Chef Joshua Cappy winning an award at the Aramark Culinary Excellence Competition. Sounds pretty fun. Before some sponsorship messages, you're listening to the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. Stay tuned.
At the beginning of February, Joshua Cathy had the honor to compete in the South Region Aramark Culinary Excellence Competition, which is known as ACE at Auburn University, which he won first place for his black and jerk fish dish.
Well, the ACE competition is a nationwide competition in Aramark, and so I was really excited when the company decided to bring it back. And so with some encouragement from my boss, Charles Gorsuch, he encouraged me to apply.
As an executive chef of USM, students often come to the Fresh and feed themselves to different variety of foods at the different stations. One student in particular had an opinion on her own.
I am fond of the food. I just wish we had a think more of diverse options to choose from besides all the stuff we personally get all the time here. So that's my take on it.
Now Kathy will represent the University of Southern Mississippi at the Aramark Collegiate Hospitality Competition at the National AIDS Competition in July. Maya Evans, SM2 News.
Prestar servicio en la Guardia Nacional del Ejército me ha permitido lograr muchas cosas por primera vez. Me permitió ser el primero de mi familia en ir a la universidad. Esa educación me ayudó a llegar al primer día del trabajo de mis sueños. También sé que seré el primero que responderá si mi comunidad me necesita en algún momento. Para obtener más información, visita nationalguard.com.
Patrocinado por la Guardia Nacional del Ejército de Estados Unidos en el estado de Mississippi. Transmitido por la Asociación de Emisoras de Mississippi y esta estación.
What's going on, Southern Miss Radio? I'm Austin, aka Smooth Oz, with 4th Street Sports Show. Me and the crew are back on Mondays at 5 p.m. Yes, Mondays at 5 p.m. Tune in to 88.5 for all things Golden Eagles athletics and a fun-filled experience with recaps and interviews from coaches, players, and administrators. Mondays at 5. Don't forget.
Southern Miss Student Media is how USM communication students put their education into action. The student prints, Southern Miss Radio, SMTV, and SM2 Creative are the media properties operated by Southern Miss Student Media. You can get your share of the more than $600 million USM brings to the area with help from Southern Miss Student Media. To find out more about how to reach the USM audience, email sm2sales@usm.edu. Recognition for your business or product, appreciation from a dedicated audience, and establishing yourself as a caring member of the Hattiesburg community are only a few of the benefits of sponsoring programming on WUSM. In addition, our very cost-effective underwriting rates are tax-deductible. To learn more about the upsides of underwriting programming on WUSM, call 601-266-4287.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, and we have Charlie Luttrell, who is the executive producer of the 4th Street Sports Show, with us after a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've been MIA for a couple of weeks, but I've been working. We've been working on stuff for the show, and I know Jackson's a great person to fill in for me on this show. So thank you, Jackson, if you're listening to the weekly wrap-up.
Hopefully he is.
Yes, yeah, I think he is. You know, he's a former host of Southern Miss Today. So, you know, Jackson's everywhere. We love Jackson.
We do. So how's it been going in terms of sports? I know a lot's been going on.
Yeah, it's a little wind down from, you know, a couple weeks ago with the basketball obviously being in the peak of their seasons. So over the spring break, you know, I was just trying to remember. I'm like, wow, this is only the first week, you know, back from spring break. It feels like a while now, but over spring break, Southern Miss basketball lost in Birmingham to UAB in the NIT tournament, and UAB is actually still in the semifinals of the NIT tournament, so it kind of got, you know, placed against a tough team, but that doesn't take away what the basketball team did this season. One of the best turnarounds, single season turnarounds in NCAA history. Just an incredible story, really, that just happened in front of our eyes this season, and we were talking on the show just of, you know, how grateful we were to really be a part of that, and just everybody on Hattiesburg, you know, should feel that way. And so basketball's kind of, you know, back in Hattiesburg. It's been a while since, you know, we could say that, and it's going to definitely be interesting to follow up to see how they're trying to build on that momentum, you know, recruiting, hitting the portal. That's really big right now. Coach Ladner, and not just Coach Ladner, but on the women's side too, what they're trying to do to build for next season. So it's really a transition period now from basketball to obviously the big sport, baseball, and what they're doing. They've kind of been on a skid. You know, going into the season, there was expectations that there was going to be learning curves, and it's a really tough schedule, one of the toughest schedules Southern Miss baseball has ever faced. So, you know, there's not much room for error, and they've kind of had some uncharacteristic mistakes, especially walks in the pitching staff, and also not being able to hit as well as they would like to with a lot of their returning lineup. So it's really just a lot of errors they got to hash out on. And they're going to play a pretty good Georgia Southern team this week at home, try to flip that script, if you will. A little cliche, but that's what they're trying to do right now.
Yeah, and just going back to basketball, I know that we've had a pretty good run, and I don't think the morale is lost. I mean, for the next season, and I think here at Southern Miss, I don't know how you feel, but I know that I feel like we have a pretty big grasp on how to kind of come back from losses and still be confident in our school and our teams, including with baseball. So I'm sure like this is just a rut that we'll get out of.
Yeah, and that, you know, that was something I was talking about earlier, just with basketball. I mean, having over 8,000 people for that game, you know, at home. The last time that happened, it really wasn't even. This is a little hot take, but Derrick Rose was playing in that game. You know, a lot of people were coming to see that too. This was just that kind of sense of community that team built. They were La Familia, you know. A lot of people just loved how they played and, you know, what they represented. And a lot of those players, even though you're losing guys like Felipe Haase, DeAndre Pickney, there's still a lot of that core together, and there's just excitement around all the sports. You know, obviously, a lot of, I guess, skepticism, you know, worries about the baseball team, how they're going to be able to turn it around with such a difficult schedule. But, I mean, if you look around all of baseball right now, there's a lot of, you know, upsets happening. Not saying that they shouldn't have won the UNO matchup this week, but there's been a lot of, you know, early struggles for a lot of powerhouse teams, and they can get back right in there. It's all about getting hot at the right time, as we saw last year with teams like Ole Miss. You know, they were able to flip the script at the end of the season. So still lots of time, but you're getting into the conference schedule now, and you've got to be able to, you know, get those wins, especially for your RPI at this point in the season.
So now I want to turn to 4th Street. Because, you know, we like to do our little previews. So next week, Monday, what can we expect for 4th Street?
So we had a really good talk last week with our guest, Tony Brutowski. He's the strength and head conditioning coach for the basketball team. So I won't really spoil our guest yet, but we're going to be talking about recapping this baseball series, and really just, it's kind of winding down, like I said, but I might hint, our guest might have to still deal with basketball. I know people are ready to move on that, but we're still trying to talk about kind of the stories that happened there and try to see what's going on next, like I kind of hinted at. Yeah.
I think it'll still be an exciting show, as it always is. I listen firsthand when I engineer, and it's pretty fun. Just to see what guests will be on and what the coaches have to say. I think that's a really important perspective to have, because the athletes themselves, of course, it's important to hear what they have to say, but there's a relationship there between, of course, you probably acknowledge this, the athlete and the coach. It's a dynamic. So.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's pretty crazy. We only have like 6 more shows left with this group. It's been a ride, so I won't give my goodbye speech yet, but we're definitely going to try to, you know, go out with a bang.
Of course. Well, thank you, Charlie, for letting us know the sports 411.
Thank you.
So now we're going to turn to Simeon Gates again and hear her report on the return of Dr. Eddie Holloway to the USM's campus. Let's have a listen.
Dr. Eddie Holloway came out of retirement this month to serve as Interim Senior Associate Provost of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Southern Miss caught up with Dr. Cheryl Jenkins and Dr. Holloway to talk about the importance of diversity in USM's faculty and staff.
On February 27th, Dr. Joe Paul announced a new administrative position, Senior Associate Provost for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Dr. Eddie Holloway, USM alum and former Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs, came out of retirement to fill the position until a permanent candidate is found. The position's goal is to work with existing offices to address the lack of diversity in Southern Miss's faculty and staff. Dr. Holloway discussed the importance of his position.
Are 28%, if not more, students of color, but significantly less professional staff and professionals, faculty members.
The issue of diversity at Southern Miss is not new. Dr. Cheryl Jenkins talked about some of the issues USM faces in recruiting diverse faculty.
The diaspora, we don't have the best reputation. And so when there is an opportunity here, we also need to be more intentional about what it is actually like to live in this area as a Black person, to be a part of this community.
Simeon Gates, SM2 News.
All right, thank you, Simeon. And I want to thank everyone who was a guest on today's show. So we had Abigail Troth, Cordavion Carter, and Charlie Luttrell. Yeah, this was a great and fantastic show. And as always, I thank you all for helping out. And I also want to give a big shout out to our audio engineer, Matthew Lee. You can't see him, but he's back there working hard.
Shout out, Matthew.
Yes, shout out Matthew. And our video producer, Devontae Anthony, also behind the camera, working hard. Also, I want to thank the manager of our station, Dr. Wilbur Martin, for keeping us on track every week. Remember that you can check out the student prints on sm2media.com and get copies around campus. You can also check out episodes of SMTV on YouTube and 4th Street Sports Show at 5 on Mondays on 88.5. Also check out our Instagram at sm2.usm. I'm Kelsey Bowden, and this was the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. Stay safe and have a great weekend.
This has been the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. A look at the events Southern Miss Student Media has covered throughout the week and the events Southern Miss Student Media is working on for next week. The Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up airs Fridays at noon on Southern Miss Radio. We'll see you next week for the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. Sponsorship comes from Southern Beverage, your local Michelob Ultra distributor. Michelob Ultra has significantly fewer carbs and calories per serving if you are watching those in your diet.